Welcome to the Your Fitness Money Coach podcast, where we help fit pros become financially fit. I've been in the fitness industry for over 25 years and currently own a successful facility on Long Island, New York. On the financial side, my wife and I paid off over $130K in non-mortgage debt over a decade ago, and now I'm passionate about helping fit pros with a solid plan to put money in their bank, time freedom in their days, and hope for a brighter future of health, wealth, and happiness. We are back with Gilad. This is part two, and ending the last episode, I didn't want to end. It was so good, but we needed to respect your time as well as Gilad's time. I wanted to touch on something you said, which was worrying more about being better than you were yesterday. I think a lot of us get caught up on external metrics or comparing ourselves to others. Compare ourselves to others who are further along in their life, in their career, and social media does not help. Eleanor Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. We're comparing our realities with other people's highlight reels.
Right.
So it just really resonates with me. So Gilad, share more about that, especially if you can share any of your own experience of how you do that. Like, how do you do that? What practices do you use to sort of make sure you're in that mindset or that you're comparing yourself to yesterday?
Yes, I believe that what you just said, mindset, is the key, because you can fall in and out of that mindset
Mm-hmm.
easily. And like you suggest, the social media has so many images that can take any person and say, "Oh my gosh, what am I missing out on?" Or "What am I not doing?" Or "Look at that person." Or "Wow, wow, wow." And that's when I think you start doubting, and that's when you start getting frustrated, and that's when you start getting depressed, is because no matter how strong, no matter how tough, no matter how smart, no matter how rich, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to outdo you somewhere, and in some field. So my motto is stick to my field. I know I'm doing it good. I don't know if I'm doing it the best in the world. I know I'm doing it good for myself. I challenge myself to, have I done it yesterday? Am I better today than I was yesterday? And I try to narrow it down to say, okay, I can learn from my peers. I can learn from somebody else. I can learn what somebody else's success is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is my way. I might take a sentence from somebody that threw a sentence on an inspirational sentence that he said, and see how it applies to my world. Where does it apply to my? I can take something that a philosopher said and see where does it fit into my fitness world, or take something from my fitness world and take it into my philosophy. I mean, it's very dynamic, and I think that ultimately, the less you compare yourself to others, and the more you realize that you in your world, you are the master, and how you choose to go about it is really up to you. But you can train yourself. Okay, you can train yourself. It's just like a muscle. Just like the muscle, our muscles can be trained to get stronger and grow. Uh, Many elements in our personality can be trained as well. Joy. People say, how do you find joy? Well, I had a mentor once, a very wise man in Hawaii, not famous at all, just a regular person that lived to the age of 104.
Huh.
And he used to tell me, joy is a muscle. You have to exercise it daily, because it could very easily slip away. You can get very easily caught up in things and go, oh, my life is hard. My life is terrible. This happened in my life that nobody understands. And you can become, it can start a downward cycle for you, sort of like a spin downward. So I think that every person has the choice to say, okay, where am I at right now? Am I happy with it? These are the things that are going well. These are things that are not going well, and start balancing them out for yourself and seeing where are my strong points? How can I enhance them? How can I enhance my good characteristics? And
And Yeah, that's so valuable. Like you said, you're never gonna stay on. Nobody's gonna stay on top. Like my chosen hobby or passion is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but yeah, you are. Yeah. So I've been doing that for many years, and it's just so interesting for me because now, believe it or not, I am one of the older guys. When I go to the class, I'm rolling with guys, and I'll have a good hard match, and I find out they're half my age. And it can be discouraging if I start comparing, because here I am, I've been working my tail off for years, and now I'm not getting my butt handed to me, but I'm having a more difficult time but am I comparing myself to that person who's half my age, or am I comparing myself to just how am I doing? How am I doing my best? What can I do better? That's going to lead to much more joy. And I love what your mentor taught you about joy. It reminds me of Abraham Lincoln's quote that most men are about as happy as they decide to be.
Yes, I think that falls on the same line. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned jiu-jitsu, and I'll tell you this: I play in Hawaii. I play on a soccer league, 7-on-7, not a full thing. Now, the rule is that it's guys over the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I dare to play with somebody at the age of 25, I'm humbled to the point of to the max.
Yeah.
Because I realize, I can still play well, I can still dribble, I can still run, I can still do it. I'm happy about it. But if I try to, outrun somebody that, who's good at the age of 25, there's no way. I also,
Yeah.
stamina-wise, I can't keep up with them. So I'm saying, hey, I'm enjoying soccer. I'm enjoying soccer at my level, at my fine age today, and that's the goal, is to I think where exercise, fitness, and mental attitude come in, is that as we get older, I mean, there's no reversing back. I wish there was. We could get all the way down to old age and come all the way back to the beginning, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
So I think the goal is for every person on the planet is to basically enjoy their life as much as they can and to stay active for as long as they can.
Mm-hmm.
So not just live a long life, but live a healthy and active and fit life
Mm-hmm.
for your years. Of course, at the age of 90, you're going to look back at the age of 60 and you go, oh my gosh, I was so young then. And that's just the process of life. But we can help it, and we can, I think we can help. There's a lot of things that we can do to help the process along, so it doesn't, it's a much smoother transition
Yeah.
rather than swap. Because I know a lot of people my age that I see that have not, been involved in health, fitness related, and thank God I'm in good health and in good shape. But I can't say the same for many people around me that are my age. And I know that a lot of it has to do with lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Style, which takes commitment and takes dedication. I tend to tell people also. They say, "Oh, I want." The thing is, as we get older, like I go into the gym today and I do a workout. I can't lift what I lifted 15, 20 years ago. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
My joints will burst. My knee will jump and stick to the wall and across the hall. My elbow will go to the other side. So I say that, when you're young, when you're in your 20s, intensity is important because that's when your body is physically
Mm-hmm.
is at its peak. But as we age, you reach the age of 40, 45, the body starts
Yeah.
slowing. There's nothing you can do about it. Look at the World Cup. Ronaldo at the age of 37 in Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
he can't perform anymore at the level that he did just 3 years ago.
Sure.
So my motto is that as we age, consistency becomes way more important than intensity.
It's good. It's good. It's so interesting. There's 2 points there. There's that you mentioned, you're at an age where, and even I am, you can really see in all areas of lives, right? We could look at somebody with a terrible marriage, a terrible family life, terrible relationship with their kids, somebody who is a terrible financial shape, terrible physical shape. And it doesn't happen just from 1 or 2 choices. It's from the years of neglect in fitness, let's say. And then when they get to be even as young as 30s, I've seen, they just seem so much older because of those choices. So that's one side, right? We get to choose a lot of those things. But then the other side is the idea that we're all aging and we can't change that. And some people do it really well. They age gracefully. And other people, they just can't handle it. They're doing all types of plastic surgery. They just can't accept the
Right.
fact that
Right.
we get older. I think there's so much value in both of those points.
Yes, yes. I'm in touch still with Elaine Lelane, Jack LaLane's wife, and she's going to be celebrating 97 in
Wow.
March. And she's very active. I see her, she's very active. She just did a tour with Jack LaLane's book about his life and
Yep.
their life. Greg is the co-writer there.
Yep.
And then, I'm looking at her, and when I talk with her, she's sharp as a razor blade. Of course, physically, time does its thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still active. She stays active. She stays positive.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other choice?
Exactly.
Pull in and to be depressed and to go, okay. No, you want to be happy and joyful for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had her challenges in life, up and down the straight. But, at the age of 97, she's, you talk to her is like talking to an 18-year-old person.
Mm-hmm.
As far as
Mm-hmm.
I think the attitude is key here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, attitude is definitely key. And like I
Sure.
said, with joy is a muscle, you can train it. Attitude is also a choice and a muscle that you can train. You can
Mm-hmm.
train.
Yep. You said something in part one. So if you're jumping on, you're hearing this interview, I encourage you to go back and either re-listen to part one or listen to it if you haven't. You mentioned something about instinct and making a decision, and it was one of the biggest lessons. I'm reading a book right now. It's not a really well-known book, but it's called Return on Relationships, and it's really interesting. And he argues that 30% of what we know, we couldn't even explain it. And that kind of just reminds me of that idea of instinct. A lot of us, and myself included, you just want the formula. What do I need to do to have a successful career? I do this, and then this happens. I do that, and then that happens. And there's some truth to that, we know, but a lot of it is, I would say, more of that under the surface instinctual. Maybe it's more about your character and being able to handle things and make decisions. I think that's a big part that often gets neglected. So I'd love for you to share your thoughts on that as you've journeyed through your career. I just think it's so fascinating that here you are, you had this injury, then you end up, you're doing the fitness in California, then you end up at this new job in Hawaii, and then you're doing your show, you're pitching it to ESPN. Like how does this happen, step by step? How do those decisions happen? And you also seem like you are a self-development guy. You're talking about your attitude and those kinds of things. Where does goal setting fit in with that? So I guess I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I guess the question is it more of just an instinctual process of this is what seems to be next for me? Or is it more of these are my goals and I'm working towards them? Is it a combination? Like, how do you kind of look at that?
I think, every person is different. I think some people respond better to set goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like next month they're going to do this, and next year they're going to be on vacation on a certain spot between December 22nd to December 24th. Personally, I don't function that well that, and many people do.
Sure.
My instinctual sense is very strong developed. I can't say that I'm always right.
Yeah.
But at least on the big decisions that I've made, like I shared with you on the ESPN situation, I feel like I made the right decision. At other times, the question always that you have with instinct is knowledge versus instinct. Sometimes you're going, well, knowledge tells me that I should do A, B, C. Instinct tells me I should do E, F, J.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do I follow? It can be a conflict between, what you should do and versus what your instinct tells you. They're not always in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be sometimes a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to do my best. I try to at least learn the subject uh, open myself up to opinions about it, you know, learn as much as I can, and then follow my instinct as well. And sometimes your instinct is the leader here. Sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
calls first, let me learn about the subject. So it depends on the situation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you know, if you do something and you do it wholeheartedly, you know, you might wake up 3 years later and said, oh, I should have done this or I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
That's when it doesn't really matter because you're dealing with your present and with your future, no longer with your past. So, um, you know, I say that if you made a good decision, rest on your laurels and enjoy it. For, you know, if you made a bad decision, don't dwell on it.
Yeah, sure.
Continue moving on.
Yeah, it's interesting about the timing of things and opportunities. There's that quote that, what is it? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I think that's something like that, right? So there's, you know, everybody who's listening, you know, we're in a great spot. You if you have the ability to listen to a podcast, then you have more than most of the world. So what is the opportunity for you? Because I know you and I were talking a little bit off air, and you mentioned that if you are kind of starting now in your career, there's no way that things would look the same. You happen to be at a certain place at a certain time.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? And well, that's the first part, but then how do you sort of adapt? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, yeah. So first of all, mentioning, you know, the stars and the, you know, the planets alignment and a little bit of luck. You have to
Mm-hmm.
say that, you know, what is luck? We don't really know what luck really is, but you do have to have that nebulous thing here working for you. Like for example, when I came to Hawaii, like we talked earlier, I didn't have a specific plan to go out and do a fitness show. It's just something that sort of evolved, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this is kind of I can see this. This would be a wonderful thing to do, even if I only did it for 1 year."
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. It's 40 years later, and I'm still talking about producing shows. On the other hand, in today's world, if I started, you know, television has become very scattered. Uh, Back in the day of ESPN, they paid for the production of the shows. Same with Discovery, they paid for the production of the shows. Today, the networks or the, you know, cable networks, I would I would be dumbfounded if they do. I don't believe they will sponsor something like this. So if I was to produce today, let's say my 30th anniversary show, I have to produce it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, get the assistance of any network. I can get maybe an advertiser or sponsor, but not the network anymore. So today, you know, back then when all of my shows are shot outdoors, you know, 3, 4, sometimes 5 cameras are involved, a lot of lighting, and you know, we're about 20, 22 people on the set are just technical and support. So nowadays, to put a production like this, when you can go with an iPhone and set it up on the beach somewhere with another iPhone, and there you have it, and it costs you absolutely zero to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's on social media. You can't really get it on network TV because the quality isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still kind of, you know, trying to find my way in this new and changing world of television and broadcast. And I myself am not sure quite where it goes. Well, I can tell you my goals, and we
Yeah.
can talk 5 years from now, and I can tell you, oh, my instinct and my goals happened or not.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so my goals are at this point, I've done pretty much every single video that I can think of doing. I've done hundreds and hundreds of TV shows. So at this point, I'm thinking that I'm in a position today to really appeal more to the baby boom generation, because that's my generation,
Mm-hmm.
and to offer them a whole new concept and a whole new program. And going forward, this is where my goals are for the near future, is to produce a program that's more geared for those, you know, let's say 50, 55 plus, all the way to 90 and beyond, uh, creating a movement and an exercise program and routine that applies to them, without the jumping jacks and without the high intensity. Or what you talked about the, doing it more as a consistent daily versus an intense, kill the body type workout.
Now, would that be TV?
That would be probably more internet, on demand, videos, downloads, things like that. The TV world will probably take some of, we'll take it, but I don't think I can create a whole concept behind it. I can create, like a 5 series of programs, like a DVD 5-set.
Sure.
Targeting, people that want to slow down a bit, not work with the high intensity, but work something that they can fit more easily and consistently into their lives. I actually have a name for it. It's already called, because the original show is called Bodies in Motion. This is going to be called Bodies in Slow Motion.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Interesting. I love the play on words.
So that's the concept. Behind it. Because, you're a martial artist. You do jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I'm going to pull from the worlds of Tai Chi and Qigong. With the breath, making the breath and the movement part of the workout. And that's the goal.
Not just Bodies in Motion. So how do those compare? Were they for different purposes, different audiences? How did they kind of compare to Bodies in Motion?
Okay, so Bodies in Motion is basically was built as a cardio and toning workout. We have a, like a warm up and a cardio segment, which is about, we have only 30 minutes. So the segment is about 8 minutes. And then we have like an area of the day that we do toning on. That's the Bodies in Motion. And that's the concept that the show follows. Pretty much from beginning to end, the show's always like that. The Total Body Sculpt show, and we don't, by the way, on Bodies in Motion, we don't use any equipment at all. It's just your body. You bring under the TV, you need very little space, maybe, 4 feet to the left, 4 feet to the right, 2 to the front, 2 to the back. That's it.
That's it.
With Total Body Sculpt, I was able to do something that's a little bit more strength and oriented and more, I would call it a little bit more explosive. So it focuses more on strength training, stamina, heavy emphasis on toning, and we do use some light equipment like dumbbells and basically something that everybody pretty much has at home these days.
Sure.
So that show gives me an opportunity to do a little bit more specific work on your chest and back, arms, hips, thighs, and buns. So this show is a little bit more cardio oriented. This show is more tone oriented. So those are two. Then we have the basic training show, which is a concept that we developed basically for the military.
Oh, yeah.
And so those shows focus more on military style exercises, very linear, straightforward movements, not much choreography involved. And that's the one that my sister hosted. And we shot that on location on different Army bases in Hawaii.
That's cool. Are these all filmed at different places besides that one? The other shows, are they all different locations that you film?
Total Body Sculpt is also filmed in Hawaii on the same, in one specific location. Bodies in Motion moves around. In Bodies in Motion, we would like in different 30 or 40 different locations around the islands.
Oh, wow.
You always see another beach, another scene. Total Body Sculpt is shot outdoors in the same spot. And basic training is shot on military bases. We were basically on a non-interference basis, but the military participated with us. So, for example, one of the shows were at a drop, a drop zone, and we have paratroopers falling down behind the set, and then they fold their chutes and they come and they join the workout. We shot at Pearl Harbor, the 7th of December now, with, the Pearl Harbor attack back in the World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So, that we gave a very strong military motif to the basic training show.
Are you, for your personal workouts, is that what you do, or do you do other things?
I do other things as well.
Oh, wow.
I got in the gym. I like to do a lot of walks.
Mm-hmm.
I am involved in a style of martial arts that I do in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I do yoga.
Okay.
I'm pretty much, I'm versed in many different disciplines of fitness.
Yeah.
Which, when it comes down to my shows, I have to narrow it down to a very specific format.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that opening myself up to different disciplines enriches me very much with what I can offer my viewer inside of the show.
Yeah, it's a great lesson there too for people, that when you the more you can learn and kind of pull from other places, the more valuable you become. I often, encourage business owners to learn from other types of business, because fitness businesses, oftentimes they're all doing the same thing. And if you're just kind of copying other people, you're not really moving forward. But if you can look at what this other business is doing with their clients, maybe you see a way that they wow their clients, and you can incorporate that to your business. It could be super helpful. Well, Gilad, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. This was a real treat for myself and our listeners. I just have a few final questions for you. The first is, you mentioned your 5-year goal and your plan. Anything else on Gilad's bucket list that you want to accomplish? Could be personal, could be business, financial, anything at all, experience?
Well, let's put it this way. Because I've been so closely connected with the production of the show this last 40 years, I've traveled a little bit around the world, but it was mostly for work related.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had a chance to explore the planet yet very much.
That's exciting.
I've had a few little trips here and there. I went to the Himalayas once and did a 6-week climb up to the top there.
Nice.
I did a few little things like that over the years, but not very extensive. I have never been to South America. I haven't really explored Europe. I've been to Far Asia, to the Far East a couple of times on jobs, but not to explore. So, my goals would be to, before I get, too up there, I'd like to, be at different places, see how other people live.
Yeah.
Societies. You mentioned one more thing, business related, that you mentioned earlier about opening yourself up to businesses and seeing how other businesses function. I think it starts with the individual. I mean, for me, I'm always open to learn from someone. It could be anybody. It could be a very affluent businessman. It could be a waitress in a restaurant, or it could be a person on the street. I mean, I'm always like, wow, what am I learning from this person?
That's great. Yeah, that's such a good attitude.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the travel. How often have you been back to Israel after coming back to the U.S.?
Well, on the average over the years, I'd say that I was able to visit once every 2 years or so.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
What's the famous Gilad lines? It's been a while for me. What's the what do you kind of, every coach has the things that they kind of fall back and they do to motivate their clients. What are some of the what's one or two that you do that you like to say, especially if you want to? No, I'm not gonna, no pressure. You can say it however you want.
All right. So the one that I like is this town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Nice.
But if you lose a couple of pounds, we might just fit.
Nice.
That's one favorite of mine. Gosh, I have a bunch.
Yep.
So
the last question is just for a lot of the listeners. They may not have a 40-year fitness production, but they are doing videos. They're sharing tips with their clients. What's some camera tips that you might have for them to kind of connect with their audience? Because it seems like it's just one way, right? Like you're being filmed and there's no two-way interaction like we're doing now. But that's not exactly true, right? There's a way to engage and connect. And how does that?
Yes, I would say that the best advice I have for somebody who's doing showing tips and showing ways to exercise and showing new stuff and form stuff is always relate to the person at home. Talk to them like you're there with them.
Nice.
I see a lot of demonstrations that it's just like looking at somebody demonstrating. It doesn't really resonate. It doesn't really affect me. I can look at a nice physique moving. That's about it. Or somebody just throwing something on the internet. But if you really want to reach somebody on the other side of the screen, you got to talk to them like you talk to them one-on-one.
That's good.
And that's the best advice I can give to all those who are doing it.
That's great advice. It's just like a public speaker. Sometimes you see a speaker and it seems like they're connecting, and other times they're just so professional maybe that they're not really even connecting.
Right, exactly. So you can appreciate the professionalism, but it doesn't really talk to you.
Mm-hmm. Gilad, if people are interested in checking out some of the stuff you're doing, is there anywhere they can you recommend they go?
They can go to my website,
mm-hmm.
Which is fitwithgilad.com.
Great.
They can check us on YouTube. We have a lot of videos available on YouTube, little clips and videos, and some of our shows are available. During the COVID, a lot of people were at home, so we made about 20 different videos that we produced over the years, made it available on YouTube for free.
Oh,
so people,
great.
Because they're at home, they have nothing to do. Maybe they're not, out of a job or whatever. So we kind of made them available for everybody.
That's awesome.
YouTube, if you go to YouTube /Gilad Productions, you'll see a lot of our content there. And then on Gilad On Demand, which is our own channel. It's called Gilad On Demand.
.com? Is that?
GiladOnDemand.com.
Okay. That's
and
great.
All my shows throughout the generations.
Yeah.
Are there, and it's a broadcast every week. We change the programming on it, so it's also very interactive.
That's cool. Well, I'll just say that there's one thing to learn from somebody who has found a high level of success. There's another thing to learn from somebody who has done it over longer than many people have been alive that are listening. So I just encourage everybody to kind of take heed to a lot of the advice, to check out what Gilad is doing. I'm so excited for you and your 5-year plan. I'm excited about bodies in slow motion. I love that idea, and just wishing you continued success. Thanks for the impact. I thank you on behalf of the listeners that have come after you. Thanks for the impact that you've made, paving the way for a lot of other fit pros.
Thank you very much.
Well, that concludes today's show. Thank you once again for listening. And as I often ask, please share this. If you know somebody who could benefit from the content, just share this episode or any other episodes. And if you could be so kind to leave a review, a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever else, that will help us spread the message. Definitely appreciate it. If you need any help, or you need to reach out for any reason, you could email me at financialfreedompt@gmail.com. That's financialfreedompt@gmail.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And once again, thank you for listening to the Your Fitness Money Coach podcast.